Morning crew. Andy Mechanic here. Welcome back to the workshop. Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. It's been an early start for me this morning. Lots and lots to get done, to be honest. Right, let's get tuned in. Boom, boom, boom. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. There we go. A few adverts and we're good to go. So, how has your week been? Who have we got in the workshop? Let's have a look. We've got Mike Bazanski, first one through the door. Good morning, all. Good morning, Mike. Roger Heaps. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. Those piglets are getting bigger. Fill that freezer up. Simon, good morning. Good morning to you too, Simon. Simon, how is everyone today? Well, pretty knackered, to be honest. We've been, me and Mrs. Mechanic, we had a bank holiday on Friday, a new one for New Zealand, which is fantastic. Another day off work, which means that there's less days in the year to get everything done. But hey, it's all good. I'm not grumbling. It came in very, very useful. So Friday and yesterday, we are back on with these support plates, these kits. And unfortunately, when I went to go and collect the laser cutting, and they had two batches ready for me, so they told me. The batch for the 700cc vehicle was the second one we loaded into the vehicle, into the ute, and the first batch we left on the pallet, just popped it straight in the back of the tray. But the second one I had to hand load in because there just wasn't enough room to put another pallet on top to get, and also get the canopy put down on the tray. So as I was hand booling it in, it dawned on me that they weren't correct. They'd gone for the original drawings for the cutout as opposed to the modified drawings. I made a couple of final tweaks after the test fit. So I took them all back out again and put them neatly on the pallet and went to go and see the boss. And I said, look, very sorry that these aren't correct. And he was a bit bewildered. I went outside, I showed him the drawings, the ones that I'd authorized for production, and then I showed him the plates on the pallet. And, you know, to his credit, he said, look, we've made a mistake. They've obviously used the original drawing and not the final drawing. Yes. So he said, look, leave them with us for a week. We'll have it all sorted for you for next Friday. And look, as luck would have it, I'm in Auckland all of next week. Well, Tuesday to Friday anyway, next week. So I'll have to whiz back up to Silverdale and get them picked up. But they needed to be right. There was no way that I couldn't make the modifications manually. It would take way too long. And end of the day, it's their problem, not mine. So we've got the 450 plates here, and we have been absolutely flat out getting them done. They're not quite finished yet. We've still got another day's sort of machine. I've got another, well, at least another half day's sort of machining to do, drilling holes, countersinks, that kind of stuff. I'll talk you through it a bit later on where we're at. And Mrs. Mechanic is already on with the sandblasting, with the garnet blasting. She's done, look at it now, she's done 20 plates yesterday, and she's still got 82 more to go or something like that. It's long, it's tedious, it's not fun. But the good news is, with all the new compressors running, and those that saw the post on Facebook and Instagram yesterday, with all the compressors running in a temporary format, I've not had time to make the frame for them, for the compressors. They were able to not only maintain sufficient airflow for the garnet blasting cabinet, but also the compressors weren't running full time. They actually had chance to stop, cool down a bit, and then carry on, which was really, really good. It showed that we had a little bit of reserve capacity, which is what you've got to factor into these kind of setups. We had all 4 air compressors running. We had the little one in the shed next door, plumbed into the same system. We've got the big one on the bench, and the 2 new ones, which are still sort of, you know, mobile compressors at the moment. But it did all work brilliantly. Mrs. Mechanic said, hey, this is working a lot better than it used to work. Very happy, and it's a lot quicker. I think she managed to do 10 plates in about an hour and 20 minutes, which is really good going, actually. That's 20 sides to sandblast, by the way. So things were going really well yesterday with the sandblasting. However, something happened, and I'll cover that a bit later on. Who else have we got? We've got Mike Bazanski, Peachy. Good man. I'm pleased you're feeling peachy today. Jim K. Jim K is in the workshop all the way from the US of A. That rhymed, didn't it? Should be a rapper. Good morning, Andy, says Jim. Good morning, Jim. Killswitch, BB. Hi, Andy and crew. Hope you're all well. Me, myself, and I have been revamping the toolbox and tools. Well, to be fair, I threw most of it out and started anew. Wow, that's a big job. And I hate throwing tools out or toolboxes out, to be honest. I always try to find a way of downgrading them to just more of a storage cabinet kind of thing. But hey, if it's knackered, it's knackered, isn't it, end of the day? Scott, on time. Yes. Morning, Andy. Good morning, Scott. And I was timing you, and you were here on time. Good man. Jim K, how did you daisy chain the air compressors together? Right. Well, again, I'll show you the hotchbotch sort of emergency setup that I came up with. But essentially, the largest air compressor, the one on the bench, I'll show you. Because those that don't know, I'll show you. There you go, look. That one there is the one with the biggest tank. The littlest one is beyond that wall in another shed. You can't see it because there's a wall in the way. And of course, we've got two others. Let me just unplug you. There we go. Look, there's two more down there. Now, those are the new ones, the additionals to give us the capacity that we needed. And essentially, the one in the shed next door is, I'm going to flick you around again. Hang on. The one next door is, I'll do the tour now. What the hell? We've done the segue. Here we go. Right. So the one next door comes in there, and it follows around, and it goes in there. I was a bit concerned whether this pressure regulator would actually allow airflow in the opposite direction. It does, not a problem. So that basically ultimately goes into the tank. Now, we've got two more. This coily blue flexi comes down here and just plugs into one of the mobile compressors, one of those. And then on the drain bung, I know, down there is the other coily blue pipe, which connects into another one of the compressors. And then, this is the best bit, and then round here, all of those four lots of air from various compressors, obviously the one from here as well goes in the tank, so they all mix up and make friends with each other, to the air molecules, and then they're all jettisoned down here through this pipe, this much larger bore pipe. It's about an inch diameter, internal. It's pretty big. And that then runs, oh God, round here, round there. I'm not going to move it, but basically into the back of the sandblasting cabinet, which Mrs. Mechanic is going to be using as soon as the live stream finishes. She'll be back on that again. Busy, busy. So that's the setup. Now, I know it's far from being perfect, but we're not going to point fingers. The point is to just get the job done. And it was actually a really good sort of proof of concept that the compressors now that we've got are sufficient in providing enough free air delivery to the sandblasting cabinet. It works. That's the point. So now I can move on and, you know, make this frame that I'm going to make up. I got the steel for, so I can get all the compressors, apart from the little one in the shed next door, get them all outside on this sort of steel frame mounted with those vibration mounts, and the sandblasting cabinet will also live under the carport in a sort of a cupboardy thing that I'm going to make. So it can all be locked away and keep dry and that kind of thing outside. I know moisture is a major problem with sandblasting cabinets, but realistically, I just need the room in the workshop, and out there, it's bone dry. Doesn't matter how windy it is or how wet it is, you know, unless you see Noah, you know, pootling past in his ship. It's bone dry. There's no issues. And I think there's equal levels of moisture in the air here in the workshop as there is outside. So I'm not too concerned. Hey, if it turns out the garnet gets way too wet and sticks and stuff, then we'll have to rethink it. I am considering the possibility, if they're available, of some kind of garnet dryer that I can put onto the cabinet as well. That will help to make it even better. But that's further down the line. So you remember a few minutes ago I said, the word, or I implied that something went wrong yesterday, and it did. It did, and it sort of scuppered my plans immensely, and it was much to my surprise. The large air compressor on the bench, the one that you've just seen, it's a couple of years old, maybe more, but it's done very, very little work. It's only used when I'm sandblasting, because you need the volume. That's why I got it. And I was on the pillar drill, the yellow pillar drill yesterday, just I don't know, drilling some holes or doing some tidy ups on deburring and stuff with the countersink bit. And that's the compressor that I was watching, and I was keeping an eye on the pressure gauge and stuff. And it was with all the compressors running, it was able to maintain. I don't know. Let's have a look. I remember where it was on the gauge. Let's have a look. So it was. I don't know. It was somewhere up here somewhere. So what's that? Yeah, over 90 psi. So it was able to maintain about 100 psi. Pressure, even with the cabinet in full action, which is brilliant. It's really, really good. But it stopped. Now, obviously, they were stopping periodically anyway, but the other ones, the other compressors down here, they didn't stop. They kept going. And I thought, that's a bit odd. So I left it because Mrs. Mechanic was quite happy. But I did obviously notice the pressure start to drop. It dropped down to about, it was able to maintain about 75, 80 psi without this compressor running. So once we'd finished for the day, I thought, right, I need to have a look at this and see what's going on. So I turned it off, tried to rotate the pump. I thought maybe the pump's seized up. It's got plenty of oil in it. We're all good there. Look, you can see the oil level. Maybe the pump's failed. So maybe the motor's jammed or stalled because it can't turn the pump. The pump turned just fine, as did the motor. So, ooh, okay. Now remember, it stopped whilst in use. It didn't not restart. So I'm thinking, can't really be a capacitor problem. The capacitors are up here in this box on the top. So I'm not sure, but it does make a bit of a noise. If I'm really quiet, you'll hear it. I'm going to turn it on. You hear that? I'm turning it on and off now. So it's trying, but I think it must have a burnt out winding in it. That's my thoughts. But anyway, later on today, when I get a chance, I'm going to pull the belt off and see if I can get the motor to actually start to spin up. However, Mrs. Mechanic did say that she could smell some burning. Oh dear. So, bit of a problem. Is it still under warranty? I don't know. I can't remember what warranty it came with. But whatever happens, I need to get a new motor next week while I'm in Auckland, because we need that air compressor to be running full tilt for next weekend, so we can get the rest of these plates garnet blasted. And then don't forget, next weekend as well, we'll have the other batch here, and I'll be full on with those. Not during the week, obviously. Or maybe I'm not sure if I'm home or not next week, the week after next. Not sure, don't know yet. If I am, I can do some on an evening. If not, then obviously do the following weekend. Oh, and I have another ROV here to do a full service and suspected blown head gasket. Got there. Oh, first service due at 320 kilometers or 20 hours. This machine has done 1,543 kilometers out of the crate. No first service. And, as it turns out, no water in the radiator either. So they've wrecked it, basically. It's not happy. Anyway, so we have a compressor down. Big problem, got to get it fixed. Hoping I can get a warranty on it. I don't know why it's failed. It's only done probably 30 or 40 hours work from new. It's done very little work. So I don't know why it's failed. But hey, whatever I find, I'll let you know. Now then, where do we get to? Boom, 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 just scrolling back. Oh, right, here we go. Bum, 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 bum. Right, so that's Jim's bit. Virginia Governor. Hello, Andy from South Africa. Good morning, sir. Connor K, hey, Andy and crew. Impressive amount of air compressors. It is. You're basically tripping over them all day long. It'd be a lot better when they're all outside under the carport, believe me. Pretty noisy, but a fraction of the noise output to what the petrol air compressor, which is still here, by the way. That's just horrific. And I think with the rising fuel costs, good idea to get rid of it, to be honest. Don't need to keep it. Simon, can't throw tools out. Never know when you need some old tools to abuse and bash over things. Absolutely. You need an old tools drawer. Ones that you don't mind destroying. Pat Toohill. First live stream I've made for a couple of months. It is Pat. I just recognise your name again. Welcome back, sir. Banana Brooks. Good evening. Don't air dryers fit in the line before the air gets delivered to the media? I don't know. Probably do. I've got a moisture trap in line, and that works really well. There's usually big puddle on the floor because the air around here is pretty moist some days. So it's constantly dumping the moisture out. And I drain the tanks, before we start every day as well. And a fair bit of water comes out of the tanks, to be honest. And I have that to do this morning, actually. Not that one. But yeah, well, maybe I could do that one, actually, because the other ones will, yeah, I can do that one as well. There's definitely water in that one. I could hear it bubbling yesterday when I was just letting the rest of the air out. So yeah, I'll investigate and I will let you know. Nick Harra, hello from Cupertino, California. Never heard of Cupertino. Sounds a very nice place. Sounds like you drink tea all the time. Banana Brooks, and is it the startup current that fries the motors? I don't know. We are. I do appreciate fully that we are limited on power. Each of the compressors has a separate power supply from the house, from a socket in the house, which is probably about 20 meters away, which is probably about as much as you want to go, on a separate circuit in the house for each compressor. So each one's running through a separate circuit breaker. And it all ran fine. There was no problems, and they start up fine. There's no hesitation on startup. And certainly for the two, once that one went down, the other two were running constantly. There was no startup required. It was just constant run. I do appreciate the startup takes a lot more current, but they've got some pretty hefty capacitors on them, so it shouldn't be too bad. And it was instant. It wasn't it was a straight, clean startup. So I think we've got enough power. I could always measure the volt drop, but hey, no time for that. Simon, with all the compressors running into one tank, is the one-way pastel valve working? It relieves the load of the motor when start up with a full tank of air. I believe it will be. It's a new compressor, and when I was drilling and it was working, it never struggled. None of them struggled to start up. They all started up just fine. So I don't know. Has it overheated? I mean, we've got stagnant air in here. It's not hard up against the wall. The motor's got its own fan. So I don't know yet. It's a bit of an issue, to be honest. But it's been working up there fine for, however, up until now. Ted McConaughey. Good morning, Ted. Welcome to the workshop, sir. Roger, maybe for high usage, a bigger electric motor may be required. The problem I have, Roger, is 3 horsepower is the maximum I can run on a single phase supply. Well, the supplies that I've got at the moment, anyway. But you're quite correct. Something over the, above and beyond would be better. But again, I'll talk to the motor guys and see what they have to say about it. And obviously we'll get something which is going to work and going to be reliable and more suited to my usage. Because when you're running a sandblasting cabinet, it knocks 7 bells out of your air compressors. They work a lot harder than they would normally work in a workshop. Where do we get to? Vijayant Governor, can anyone please send me plans to build a go-kart? Vijayant, if you've got, here's a good one for you, and you could help me as well. If you've got Castrol oil in your country, and I don't know if you have or not, but you've got the internet. So if you contact Castrol UK, back in the 80s, the 1980s, or very, very early 90s, pretty sure it was 80s, they had a competition and produced a really comprehensive book about how to build a go-kart. And from memory, they ran a competition nationally and they gave out prizes for the best built kart based on their basic plans. You could change it to some extent from memory, but you had to follow their plans as regards dimensions and I think basic structure, you know. But yeah, Castrol UK, flick them an email, say, hey, want to build a go-kart? You produce, and I don't have the book anymore. I remember having the book. Dad got me it because we used to sell Castrol oil at work, and it's gone. And I would really like a copy of that, or at least a scan of it for when I do Jared's go-kart, which is up there still. Been trying to get hold of one for a while. I've had no luck. See if you can get somewhere. Maybe you know somebody in Castrol. I don't know. Nick Harra, 35 miles south of San Francisco. Ooh, you get earthquakes there in San Francisco. Sim M, good morning, Andy. Good morning, Sim. How are you? Hope you're all good, and welcome to the workshop. Connor K, what is the rated duty cycle of the air compressor with the bad motor? The air dryer and the water collector should be in line between the air compressor and the blaster. Cool. Certainly got the water collector and a filter on the back of the blaster before it goes in. Yes, I've got to find an air dryer thing. Or a garnet dryer. Who knows? I mean, a garnet dryer might work. I don't know. Got to see what we can do. See what we can come up with. Banana Brooks. So, is it much of a hassle to go 3-phase? Yes, it is. It's really, really hassle. Lots of hassle. Way too much hassle. And too expensive. It involves lots of permissions and a lot of money. So at this point in time, at this property, I don't need 3-phase. Well, I should have 3-phase. I know. One big ass 3-phase air compressor would have done the trick. But at this point in time, I don't think it's an option. I've gone down this route, and to date, we've had no problems. You know, maybe it is just a failure that's not directly related to usage. Once the compressors get outside onto the carport, there will be a dedicated power feed for them, 100 amp feed straight from the consumer box. Oh, hang on, I think there's somebody at the door. Bear with me. No, there isn't. That was weird. Nobody at the door. Very strange. Anyway, once they're under the carport, they'll have all the power they need, and we shouldn't have any further problems. So, yeah, bit of a pain. But I will have a look, and it might be something simple, but I suspect it isn't something simple. But we'll have a look. We'll find out. And it might be under warranty, in which case I might be able to get it through as warranty, in which case then we won't have any problems. I mean, don't forget, I know the guy really well that sold me these compressors, so maybe he'll look upon it lightly and favourably, given the fact that I'm a massive Atlas Copco air compressor fan. I mean, one workshop, 4 air compressors, come on. Right, Vijayant, have you checked the safety switch on the compressor? Yes, there is a reset for the, for the capacitor side of it. On there, I've pressed that. It hasn't popped out, so I don't think that's the problem. Harry Darg, hope you're all doing well. Hey, Harry, welcome back, matey. Hope you're doing well. How was the surgery, mate? My coffee's going cold already. Sheldon, relocate down here and build a new workshop with 3-phase. Yes, I'm looking for land, Sheldon. Find me some land. Hasn't already got building rights on it. Find me some land that I can afford, and I don't have a lot of money. As you well know, I keep spending it on tools and things. Yeah, need a little bit of land. Would like a few trees on there. Nothing too big. You know, big enough to build a log cabin and stuff, and a workshop, and an underground workshop. I want to build a cellar type workshop. I like that. And you can keep all your engineering stuff down below, which is nice. I like that kind of setup. When I lived in Spain, in the village called, well, town now, city really, Terrassa, just outside Barcelona. I don't know, 30 or 40 k's outside Barcelona. I stayed with a family there. James was the head of the family, James Senior. And when I got there, I was walking up to this house, and it looked like I hate to say it looked like a slum. All the plaster was falling off the rendering was falling off the outside of the building. It was a fair few stories high, but it looked like it had come straight out of a war zone, And I'm going, oh my God, where am I staying? And I was there for 3 months. So I rang the doorbell, and it was the old, I think it was a chain actually, old school sort of chain bell thing. Rang that, and it had like a wrought iron gate, and then a little bit of a gap, and then the front door. And I'm thinking, Jesus, well, how bad is this neighborhood? Anyway, they opened the door, and this little old sort of old. She wasn't that old then. She opened the door, and it was just polished marble floors and walls up to about 4 foot. Chandeliers. It was like walking into a different house. The outside looked horrendous. The inside was unbelievable. Very, very nice inside. Very cool in the summertime with all the marble and stuff, keeping the place cool. Huge heat sink, or cool sink in this case. Anyway, after a few days, James said, hey, come and have a look at this. So he opened the door off the kitchen, and we went down some spiral stairs. And I'm thinking, where the hell is he taking me? And we went probably a good 2 full turns. It was quite deep. And then we went, it just opened out into a huge room, the full size of the plot of the land that he had his house on. I mean, there was concrete pillars and stuff in there, but it was pretty much one big room. And it was full of lathes and milling machines and welders. He had all sorts of gear down there. It was brilliant. I was in my element. I was able to play down there. And I actually made my own trailer while I was there as well, which is pretty cool. So I got to use a lot of his gear. And he was very trusting, just to come down, use it whenever you want. You're all good. He just obviously had an inclination that I knew what I was doing, sort of. But no, it was great fun. And I did make my trailer, and I filled that trailer with San Miguel beer, crates and crates and crates of it, and towed it back behind my little Suzuki Jeep right through the Pyrenees. Had a fantastic time bringing home the beer. Even customs, at that time there was no limits to how much you could bring back into the UK, and even customs said, why are you bringing all this back? And I said, well, me and my dad like San Miguel, so we've got like a year's supply. And they let me through, which was great. No, not morning, it's Saturday, 5 p.m. Sorry, Harry, it is. The time does vary around the world, unfortunately. Simon, one catch. The workshop has to be bigger than the house. It does. This property, I'm quickly expanding. We've got another carport to do, and we've got a big shed to put down the bottom. And I think once those two are up, I think square footage, or square meterage, will be more workshop than it is house. It's only a little house. It really is only just big enough, especially when we store lots of children's stuff. Isn't that right, Benjamin, Charlotte, and Eloise? We have boxes and boxes of their gear in that house. Anyway, we need to crack on because Andy's got a very busy day, and I want to get into Taupo Lake this afternoon to get some supplies. So we should talk about pies. Here is today's pie. It's from Mackenzie, High Country. Pies made well. Now look, can't go wrong with that, can you? Now this one is the mince and cheese. We've done the steak and cheese. Mrs. Mechanic came across this one yesterday and went, oh, he's not done that one, I don't think. So we're going to try this Kiwi Classic. It's got golden pastry, 100% grass-fed New Zealand beef, South Island cheddar. Sounds very tasty. Proudly baked in New Zealand, 210 grams. So you get an extra 10 grams to the normal. About 200 grams seems to be about the normal weight of a New Zealand pie. Anything above that, bonus. Ooh, Simon went to a house to get a 4-jaw chuck. The guy did not have a living room. It was a machine shop with a sofa and a TV in it. That's fantastic. I hope he's taken the carpet out because of all the swarf. It now sticks to the carpet, you know. Good job. I like that kind of stuff. I remember when I went to Scarborough to go and pick up my third motorcycle for the road. I would have been 17, just turning 18 maybe. And it was black and yellow, 250cc, 2-stroke, twin, YPVS. And it was the first ever super motard produced by a manufacturer, you know, in mass production. And there was actually a series in France for these particular bikes. Those that can guess the name are welcome to guess the name or the model of the bike. And it was in his front room, and it was absolutely immaculate. The guy obviously was cleaning it whilst watching TV on an evening. He was a policeman as well, a massive policeman. You wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of this guy. He was huge. He opened the door, and I remember just looking up like this at his face. He was just built like a brick shithouse, this guy. And it was quite a narrow hallway to get the bike out. And I was there for a test ride, obviously. So I said, can I take it for a test ride? Please. And he went, absolutely, of course you can. Just remember the speed limit. Of course, officer. And he was there in his uniform, you know, he was obviously come home for lunch to meet me or something. And he just basically picked this bike up like it was a bicycle and just lifted it out onto the roadside. Thank you. I'll be very careful with it. And I then took it for its test ride. And of course, being a 2-stroke, it took a few minutes to warm up. And I was going up I went down to the roundabout where the old swimming pool used to be, which I think is gone now. There used to be like slides and shit there. And then there's a long, long hill going up towards Scolby. And I remember going up the hill and I was like, okay, we'll just slowly ease it up through the gears, you know, and it was starting to warm up. And then I could feel it all of a sudden go crisp, you know, as 2-strokes warm up. What the hell was that? Anyway, as 2-strokes warm up, and then I gave it some beans. And I think I was only in second gear, and we hit 70 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. Oops. Who's that? Somebody's tried to ring me. Or have they? There's no record of that. Sorry, people. Don't know what's going on there. Whoever it was, try again. If you want to be on the live stream. So yes, eyes were watering. It was just like hitting warp speed to me. I had not really ridden a bike like that before. Much faster than my 125 that I had previously. And took it back and handed over the cash and rode it home. Simple as that. Yes, please, I'll have this. And he was very happy. Didn't even barter on the price. Just gave him his money. It was definitely worth the money. And thoroughly enjoyed having that bike. And Benjamin now has 2 of those here in New Zealand. And my friend Matt down in the South Island is rebuilding one as we speak. And he'll make a bloody good job of it. And he's going to tune it. And it's getting a big ball kit on it. Yes. You are correct, Banana Brooks. Absolutely. A phenomenal machine. A top piece of kit, in all honesty. And, of course, you know, just a hooligan bike. Built for hooligans. And I did many hooligan things on that bike. I had police chases on it in Leicester. It was actually taking Mrs. Mechanic home one night. Going down the M1, we were flat out, 100 mile an hour. That's all it did, 100 mile an hour top because it was a bit geared down. 100 miles an hour. And the Rozzers weren't very happy about that. And he came up behind me. I was in the slow lane. And he came up behind me. It was quite late at night, probably about 11 o'clock, half 11 at night. And then pulled alongside. And I didn't button off. I just kept going, you know. And I'm like, oops. He put his little flashy lights on and stuff. I think I've told this story before, but put his little flashy lights on. And then he tucked in Oh no, he stayed alongside me and he was sort of pointing to the exit, and I didn't get off. I stayed on the motorway to the next one because the next one was only a couple of miles down the road. So I kept going, and then I think he was still on the side of me, and I didn't indicate. I just peeled off down the off ramp. He couldn't make the turn. He ended up carrying on down the motorway. So I had a bit of time. So I shot into Leicester, and I think it was like a 50-mile-an-hour dual carriageway or a 60-mile-an-hour dual carriageway. Anyway, forget that. Serious speed. And another police car was I could see in the distance was catching me up, and we were just coming up to this big roundabout with a petrol station on it, and there was a big truck just about to pull onto the roundabout. So I thought, aha, I can use that truck. That will be helpful. So as I pulled onto the roundabout, I got onto the far side of the truck. So the truck's side was between me and the police car. And I stayed with that truck, and he sort of screamed me, and the copper couldn't see which exit I took. So I went right round the roundabout, and I think the truck peeled off at the penultimate exit, and then I popped into the petrol station and hid round the back. And the police car had zoomed off down a different road for a while, and then we got back on the bike. We then shot off down the A6, it was, to was it Great Glen or somewhere where Mrs. Mechanic used to live. Dropped her off there, and then I had to get home. Yes, all the way to Loughborough without the policeman or any policeman finding me. And obviously, there was an APB out on me. When I pulled into Shepshed, it was where I used to live. Another cop had picked up on me and was chasing me. And we were in a housing estate area now. And I wasn't that familiar with the housing estate, but I did remember one little snicket between the houses. So as he's following me, I snicked off down the snicket as you do, popped out the other side. And sure enough, it came out about 2 doors down from where the house I was staying at. So quickly got up to the garage, opened the garage door, pushed the bike in, shut the garage door, kept all the lights turned off. And Nino, off he went, zoomed past, beat him, escaped the Rozzers. It's not often that happens, is it? But it was quite good. I felt great. But I didn't use the bike for about 2 weeks after that. I used Cyril, which is a little CM200 twin. So things were a bit slower for a while. Until the heat was off. It was good fun though. I do remember that. I used to do dumb things back then. Anyway, right, pie time. We do talk. Right, so this is the pie. Quick check. The lid. Oh, it's got some little sort of machine gun indents. Look. Quick whiz round. Does it look good? It looks pretty good, doesn't it? Right. Let's go to the pie warmer and make it nice. Here we go. Dum 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 dum. Tasty pie, I hope. I wonder how it's going to score. We'll have a look at the steak and cheese. I did spot that yesterday, so we'll stick it in there. Oh, I think a bit further back. There we go. Give him some power. Lovely jubbly. Nice. So it is, what the hell was it? Mackenzie, wasn't it? Mackenzie. I did see it yesterday. There we are. There's a Mackenzie steak mushroom nail. That got 86. So sort of midway in the whole ranking of it. Any more Mackenzies? Mackenzie lamb, rosemary and mint got 79. No more down there. Oh, there we are, look. Mackenzie steak and cheese, 99. It scored pretty damn well, actually. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. So it's in the top 10 is the steak and cheese. So the mince and cheese, I suspect, is probably going to come in just a little bit below that because it's mince and not steak. But, you know, that's just the way it is. So we'll wait and see. Good stuff. Right, pie. Cook. Or heat. Reheat. That's the word, isn't it? Reheat. So, what have we been up to? Well, you know what I've been up to. We've been really busy, but we've got, basically, this is where we're at now. These are finished. They are final drilling of 8.5 and deburring both sides. That was last job. No, it wasn't actually. That was second to last job yesterday. All these are done, just for the record. 8.5, 9.5, deburr both sides. Very nice. They're all done. These are countersinks. Yes, these are all countersinked, ready to go, and deburred on the back. So they're ready for sandblasting, garnet blasting. There's another tub of those. They're all done. And these, what are these? Where did I get some of these? These are deburred and the thread has been put in M8 thread there, look. So deburred both sides as well. So there's a lot of deburring going on. They're all done. Over here, what's with these ones? These are countersinked, but they're not deburred on the back. That's one of my jobs this morning. These are all sandblasted. Look at the difference. Hell of a difference. Paint sticks to it like shit to a blanket once you've sandblasted them. And under here, bear with me, we've got boxes all over the place. Under here, we've got some more of these, and these I put the thread in. That was the last job last night. Put the thread in those. These had the final drilling. Just need to be deburred both sides. So they'll take about half an hour to do, I would say, maybe an hour. I don't know. See how my hand feels. And then if we go over towards Sheldon, the mill, not Sheldon the person, named after Sheldon the person. Morning, Ratty. How are you? Still there? Look on the mill. Look, it's looking a lot less rusty now. It did a lot of work. Very, very cool. Oh, and I've got some good news for you about the countersink bit. I'll show you that. Every single countersink has had the Forge spray applied. Extremely good at preserving your drill bits. Brilliant it is. Really, really like that now. All of these, and there's about 42, I think, from memory, they should be on there. All of these need the countersinks and the deburr on the back, and then they can get sandblasted, and then they're ready for paint. So, what's about the countersink bit, Andy? Tell me. Okay, well, can I show you in the drill? I can show you over here, actually, as well. So we've got, there we are, look. So, what did we use before? Hang on. No, we used one of these. Right. I'm going to turn you around. Well, I'm not going to turn you around. I'm going to turn you down. Hang on, bear with me. Where's the little notch? There he is. Right, there we are. Right. So, I did a little test, actually. This is one of the ones that this is made by the same company, which is Alpha. See, look, Alpha. And this is their, was it 16.5 mil countersink. There we are. And very, very good. Really, really good. Did all the previous countersinks. This one, I didn't use any lube on it, and it managed about 240 holes and gave up. It's gone blunt. But also, it's got a round shank, and I do find that sometimes it slips in the chuck. You don't notice, it just slips a little tiny bit, but obviously, if it's under pressure, it also moves in the chuck, which is bad, really bad, because then it messes up all my depths for the countersinks. So, I asked Jared, I said, hey, do they do one with a hex chuck? He says, they do. I says, right, well, we'll try one of those. And the beauty is, I think you see this in the packaging or not. Let me open it up. Hang on. Let me open it up. I'll show you. Bear with me. Live TV and all that. Don't lose your fingers, Mr. Young. Right. There we go. Right, so if you can see on there, where's my pointy stick? I need a pointy stick. What have we got? There, look, scriber. That'll do. Right, you can see you've got, trying to get it to focus for you, you've got the shank, as normal. And then it's got a very sharp, steep rise just here where it goes round. This is great because that will then, it locks on the chuck and it can't slide up into the chuck should it come loose. And it actually doesn't come loose. It stays tight, which is being a hex. It stays really tight. It doesn't slip at all, which is great. So, on Sheldon, the mill, we have one of those bits in there, and it's sat in the chuck right against that shoulder, and it hasn't moved at all. I've got my little depth gauge thingy set up here, look. So when you're doing your machining, hang on, focus, you know, boom, down to there. And you don't have to press hard. I mean, there is some flex in this plate here, which is obviously bad if you press too hard. You know, I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but there is a bit of flex. But as soon as you feel the resistance, you just stop, wait about 15 seconds for it to do the final little bit, and away you go. Job done. And then once the plate's done, all 6 countersinks are done, then I have one bolt here that I just do a quick check. I pop it through the hole like that and make sure it obviously is not on this one because it hasn't been done. But yeah, I check it's flush and not too deep. That's the critical part. I like to do them with about 1/2 mil sat proud, and that gives me a little bit of a margin should I just press too hard on the lever. you know, and cause a bit of flex in this plate, then it's still okay. What I don't like, actually it bugs the crap out of me, is when you've got a countersunk bolt, which is countersunk below the surface of the plate. It looks crap, in my opinion. So anyway, there you go. That's those. That's that. This is really good. And the one that's in there now, that one has done 60 plates. So that's 360 countersinks so far, plus a couple of test ones at the start. And it's as sharp now, it feels as sharp as when I first started. So, you know, this stuff is great. It really, really, really works. Over here, there is another one of those somewhere. I'm hoping. Maybe it's in the bottom drawer. Yes, this one here. This is the last one that I used. And that one has done, I think, about 360 cuts, or maybe slightly more. And I then stopped using it because I'm going to put it under the microscope. I'm going to compare that one, the cutting edge, with that cutting edge, the one that had no lube on it at all, and be able to see the damage created by not using the lube, basically, the cutting fluid stuff. So yeah, interesting, really is interesting. But these actually looks a bit weedy, looks a bit, you know, Mickey Mouse, but it actually works incredibly well. Very, very pleased with that so far. I did buy 4, so I've got a couple of spares, because we've got one in there and we've got one in my pillar drill over there, that one. So yeah, right, back to the bench. The coffee's getting cold. There we go. Right. Oh, mince and cheese. Nice. Right, back to the comments. So many comments. Mike Adams, howdy all. Sorry I'm behind. It's all good. I'm working on fabricating more window awnings. Rain forced me to take a break. It's been raining. Oh, look at that, that's terrible. It's been raining really, really, really badly for the last couple of weeks, but now things have dried up a bit over here. It's not too bad, in all honesty. Banana Brooks, TDR. Wasn't one of the gauges on the tank top and hard to read, officer? Yeah, one on top of the fuel tank is the rev counter, which, you know, you tend not to look at too much in your riding, because you know when you're hitting the rev limiter and stuff, you know, you can just hear it. I think the trail of blue smoke behind wasn't a stealth move at all. But anyway, good fun. Didn't catch me. Got away with it. Mike Adams. I remember the little Honda Rebel 250 from back in the 80s. But I've seen a newer version of the Rebel, the 500 and the 1100. What's your opinion if you've seen one, and are they worth buying used? In all honesty, I don't think I've seen one, but we'll have a look. So, Honda Rebel 500, let's have a look. Google. Honda Rebel 500 New Zealand came up. Images. Okay. Doesn't look a bad little bike, does it? I mean, obviously it's not going to be a 2-stroke, it's a cruiser, it's a 4-stroke. You can see the camshafts. What's the price on that? City Honda, where are they based? Somewhere in the world. They're charging nearly 30. It's actually not a bad price either, is it? $1,300 on the road. GST included, shipping calculated at checkout. Shipping. Wow. Okay. So you can buy it online and have it delivered to your house, and you can pay on Apple Pay, Google Pay, MasterCard, Visa. Please buy me now. Wow, very cool. I'll show you. This is the bike. This is the 500 bike. Not bad at all, really, is it? Is it going to... Oh, it's not going to zoom in, can I? Oh, there you go. Hang on. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. There you go. Look, you can see a bit more on there. Obviously, it's going to be LAMS approved, I imagine, so that all the learner riders in New Zealand can buy that. Not a bad little learner bike, to be honest, is it? Looks pretty smart. Very black, very stealthy. Probably really quiet as well with that exhaust on it. Okay, let's go for the 1100. Boom. Backspace. 1100. go to the end, press enter. There we are, look. Boom. Oh, there you are. That's the one. So this is the 1100cc version. It's got a bigger engine. Nice. To be perfectly honest, they're not really my cup of tea, to be honest. Only a single seat on that one, look. You might be able to get a pillion seat for it, don't know. Maybe it's just for people that like to ride on the run. Anyway, there you go. Boom. The Honda Rebel. Come on, phone, don't let me down now. There we go. Right. Yeah, not a bad bit of kit. And the 500cc one, it's not a bad price either, is it, to be honest? You can't go wrong at that. Where do we get to? Are they both buying used? The 500 probably hasn't been that thrashed if it's a learner riding it, but it might well have been crashed. So you need to check that out. Richard Perry, morning Andy and crew. GB, good morning matey, welcome aboard. Banana Brooks, have you worked out how much total mass of the finished footplates adds to the machine? Yes, it's about, what was it, about 5 kilograms for the kit, all up. So the good news is it reduces the center of gravity, makes them more stable, doesn't it? Because the weight's really far down low. At the end of the day, they have to go on. They are needed at the moment. It's just the way it is. But they do seem to be working very well, really well. Only had one repeat failure since we've been fitting these kits, and I call that a success. Especially when you see the size of the bloke that that was riding the bike. Jade Hedges. Hey Andy, it's Jade ex Philco in Nelson. Good morning, Jade. Same time zone. Good job. Nice to hear from you. What are you up to now? JJ, morning Andy and crew. Morning JJ. Machine NZ, morning Andy. Good morning. Welcome back to the workshop. Your sticker's still up on the door. It's very cool. Jade. Oh, the Rebel 500 runs the common Honda parallel twin. Very reliable and economical motor. There you go. You see, that's a salesperson right there for you. Go and buy one. Oh, my word. I can't pronounce that. Hello, I'm from Ukraine. My name is Borisko. What a name. Borisko. So that's no doubt what the non-English thing says on the left. Borisko. Use a capital B. Borisko. Sounds like you're about to make coffee. Jade, now at Morley Honda. Morley Honda. Where the hell's Morley Honda? Morley Honda. Let me have a look. I don't know where it is. Morley Honda. I don't want pictures. I want all. Morley Honda. Oh, you're still in Nelson. Right. So you jumped ship. I can see now why you know so much about the Honda. Good call. Briscoe, I used to have a German WU-22 bike, a World War II bike. Wow. Send me some pictures. If you've got any photos, send me them on an email. andymechanic@live.co.uk. I'd love to see some pictures of your old World War II bike. That'd be very cool. Very cool indeed. So, plan of attack for today. Just want to wait for the pie because we're a bit behind. I rambled on way too much this morning. I meant to get the pie in early on. Mrs. Mechanic's going to be chomping at the bit. So, basically, the plates, I should have all the machining finished today. Mrs. Mechanic might probably knock out maybe another 10 or 15 plates today up through the sandblasting cabinet because we're going to call it a short day. Although saying that, no, she should do maybe a few more than that. I want to leave here about, be out the door for about 4 o'clock would be good, actually. It would be really good. Then we're not rushing around. I think my to 10 closes at 6 p.m. tonight. I'll have to check. Don't know. But yeah, get all that done. Keep the rest of the air compressors running without them blowing up. Hopefully not. But saying that, she managed okay with just, because the one in the silver shade I turned off inadvertently. I forgot that I'd unplugged it. So she was using the sandblasting cabinet with just the 2 new compressors. And she said it was okay, but you could definitely tell it was down a bit on pressure. So if I fire up the one in the silver shed again, that might just tip the balance and make it, you know, okay again. But we won't have any spare capacity. You know, the compressors won't be stopping and starting, which is a bit of a pain. Oh, Barisco is asking, what is that one behind you? I'll have a look. I think you mean the motorcycle. Okay, so this is a New Zealand farm bike. It's made by Suzuki, so it's infamous and tenacious, obviously. It's a TF-125, and as you can tell, it doesn't have any camshafts. It's a 2-stroke, and they don't make these anymore. They don't sell them here, at least in New Zealand anymore. You have to buy a 4-stroke, which is a real shame, because these are not bad bikes at all. I did take the 4-stroke 200cc DR 200 on a very, very long motorcycle trip across New Zealand earlier in the year, and it performed phenomenally well, I must add. So this is one of the next projects. I don't know when it's going to get done. There will be no doubt a video covering the initial startup of the bike, just to see if it runs. The carb doesn't look phenomenally healthy at the moment. I think it might need a quick rebuild, but we're going to try and get it running in its current state, and then no doubt we'll do some work on it to get it all fixed up. Unfortunately, I can't get this one road legal, although it does have a place for the number plate. Here in New Zealand, these bikes, they don't meet compliance, so I can't get it on the road. Not in the normal way anyway. I might explore other possibilities, but you know, can't wait to get this one sorted out. I do like the look of it, and I very much like 2-strokes. And it has got the standard farm dual stand. We've got the left-hand side stand, and this is unique to farm bikes here in New Zealand, and it's got the right-hand side stand as well. So it doesn't matter which way the hill's facing. When you pull up, you can put it on a stand to open the gate. I mean, it's bound to have some failings. You know, there's maybe some design flaws in there. You know, I imagine the bush in there is going to wear a little bit on the brake lever and stuff. But in all honesty, everything feels pretty tight, and it doesn't look actually that old. Things look, you know, there's not a lot of corrosion around. It's actually quite a tidy little bike. So it shouldn't take, it's a lot tighter than the DR was, that's for sure. So it shouldn't take that much work to get it all back up and running. I think really it's just a refresh for the engine. Hopefully, that's the plan. Even the fuel tank's pretty tidy underneath. Look at that, because it's had the cover on it. It just needs a quick polish up and we're good to go. I'll be getting rid of the cover, by the way. But nice colour scheme. Go faster stripes. Pretty cool. Right, so there you go. That's what it is. And one day, I'll get around to doing another video. I don't want to do that. Will remind me tomorrow. Thank you. Right. Oh my word, where we got to? Looks very nice. Usually unusual yellow springs. Yeah, they do that kind of stuff on farm bikes. It's weird. Simon, just seen a new sign above the shutter door. Oh, yes. Yes. You guys won't have seen this. I'll turn you around again. Look. Because none of the videos have gone out yet. This is the sign that was on the back of the ute when I did the epic and world first, may I add, journey on a farm bike from one end of New Zealand to the other, and not in a straight line either. I did 4,000, or just short of 4,000 kilometers riding the DR200 down many gravel roads and up rivers and across mountains and down valleys and all that kind of stuff. And it was very cool. And the first few days we didn't have this sign, and you know, the bike only goes like 60 k's an hour flat out, so it was a bit of a mobile roadblock when I was on the main roads. The main roads were terrible. I hated the main roads, and it was a bit dangerous in all honesty, because cars and trucks were trying to get past, and I was trying to ride sensibly, and whenever we came across a lay-by, I'd pull in and let all the traffic clear and stuff. But it was a bit of an issue, and Mrs. Mechanic feared for my life, because there are some pretty impatient drivers out there, and they didn't know. They didn't know what I was doing. So when we finished the northern stretch of the trip, we actually called in at home. And we had a whole day here at home where I made some modifications to the bike, and we made that sign and we put it on the back of the ute. And honestly, instantly, we didn't get any more problems from drivers. They all, because it happens quite a lot in New Zealand, people travel the length of the country, whether they're walking or cycling or whatever. So the drivers are sort of used to this kind of thing going on. And in actual fact, on a regular basis, we would get a little beep, 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 and a cheer, you know, especially the nearer to Bluff that we got. People were like, wow, he's made it all this way so far. Good on you. We'll give you a pip. And it was really, really good. Very good idea from Mrs. Mechanic. And when we finished, you know, I said, should we keep the sign? She says, yeah, let's find somewhere to put it. So that's where it lives. It lives in the workshop. And it reminds me of a fantastic 2 weeks that I had without any phone calls or any emails to worry about. I was able to just relax and do what I do best, and that's explore and have fun on a little motorbike in the middle of nowhere with a rack that kept cracking. But other than that, it never missed a beat. It just wanted to go. There was a morning that it wouldn't start on the electric start because I'd flattened the battery charging GoPro batteries through the night. That was my fault. It wasn't the little bike's fault. It only has a little battery on it. But it kick-started straight up. Where are we going? Let's go. You know, and that bike, I rode it 8 to 10 hours every day. And I can say the vast majority of that journey was on gravel roads. It was just brilliant. And it's not over yet. That I'm very confident that I'll be using that bike again for another trip. Maybe a coast to coast. I don't know. We'll work something out. There's a lot of really good gravel roads in New Zealand, and I want to start to do trips to encompass or link together as many of those as I can, because they are unfortunately getting lost. Local councils, little bit by little bit, are tarmacking over the gravel sections in some areas. So it'd be quite nice to be able to ride them again before, you know, especially the best ones, before they get tarmacked. I think tarmacking them is completely wrong. They don't really get used very much by some people, and it's just a waste of money. There's nothing wrong with gravel road. Okay, Barisco says, how come you can't make it road legal? Okay, so when a new motorcycle comes into New Zealand, it has to go through what we call compliance. I actually do this. It's part of my job with my employer, which is a major motorcycle importer for New Zealand. I have to check that the bikes meet all the requirements to go on the road. Now, obviously, very recently, New Zealand adopted the ruling where all motorcycles over 125cc have to have ABS if they're going to be road registered. Bit of a downer, isn't it? They have made a few exceptions for like enduro bikes and stuff, but other than that, it's a major problem because a lot of the adventure bike riders don't want ABS, and now they have to have it. And ultimately, they'll make it so you can't disable it as well, which is really bad if you're on gravel, because ABS on gravel is worse than no ABS. Riders know that. I know that from experience. But yes, if it doesn't meet compliance, then they won't, you know, then the importer won't sign it off and say it meets compliance. So then the VIN number doesn't get entered into the database, the Land Transport database. So when you try and go and get it registered, the VIN number doesn't exist. Simple as that, basically. It just puts a stop to it. There are other ways which you can try to get it through. If you can find a very similar model, say the same frame and so on, that's already on the road here in New Zealand. So let's say if it had, like the DR200, where you have the trail bike version, which was Tool Girl Lilli's bike, and you have the farm bike version, which is the one that I rode on the trip, which is Holly's bike. They essentially share the same frame. There's a couple of very minor differences. One is the right-hand side stand mounts. But other than that, all the geometry and everything is exactly the same. The farm bike doesn't have, for example, the pillion foot pegs, although mine does, because I use the trail bike frame. That's how I was able to get it on the road. So yeah, there are ways sort of around it a little bit, but sometimes you will hit a dead end where it just can't happen. It's a bit of a problem. The other option would be to get, you know, a motorcycle, what we call a trade plate, one of those yellow plates. I think there's one up in the rafters somewhere from a few years ago when I had one. I am eligible for trade plates, so I could get a trade plate and stick a trade plate on the back and then do the trip with a trade plate. But it's a bit naughty, and Mr. Policeman might get upset. It's like a red rag to a bull when you're in the middle of nowhere with a trade plate on. So you know, I want to do everything by the book. So hopefully we can get it on the road, but I can't guarantee it. What do we get to? Banana Brooks. Talking of the road trip, editing. I appreciate the missus is helping with the plates. Editing just hasn't happened yet. I'm actually at the point now where I'm considering trying to find somebody that will edit the videos up for me. Obviously, I need to pay them, but I'm just running out of time. There's just so much fabrication work coming through the workshop at the moment, and servicing work as well, that's using up all my available time and some. And don't forget, I have a full-time job. You know, I'm traveling away from home a lot, so it is difficult. It is. I mean, I've done a little bit at the start, but there's so much I want to do that I've not been able to do. That I want to get it presented and do all the graphics that I've got in my head and thinking, oh, that'll look cool, we'll do that. But I've just not had time to really focus on it yet. I'm very, very busy with work at the moment, unfortunately. So it's just going to have to wait a little bit longer. Okay, so what do you prefer, sports bike or touring? Trail, adventure, trail are my kind of bikes. For Giant, what is happening with your pie? Oh, good call. The pie's gone ping. It's having the 2-minute wait. One more. I give you editing. I can give editing a go for you. Cool. There's possible. I'd like to use somebody in New Zealand if I can, because then I can go and see them and we can do a review of what they've got so far and changes that I want to make and that kind of thing. Appreciate the offer. There's 640 gigabytes of files, so trying to shift those around the world, and it's just going to be a nightmare. I'd rather just give them a hard drive with it all on and give them a rough idea of what I want, and then they can edit it up to suit. I reckon there'll be probably 8 episodes of about half an hour to 45 minutes each. There's a lot of footage, and there's a lot of really cool things happen on that trip that really need to be captured in those videos. And I'm sure you'll like them. In fact, I know you'll like them. I thoroughly enjoyed the trip, and I know I caught a lot of it on camera, so fingers crossed. Right, pie. I'm getting hungry. And we've been going an hour and 7 minutes. What the hell? An hour and 7 minutes before I even bite into my pie. It's ridiculous. Right. Ooh, nice and brown. Look at that. Golden brown top. Base is hardened up nicely. Oh, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Okay. We will head back to the bench and sample said pie. Hasn't even cracked on the top. It's pretty good. Right, we'll stick him on there for a second. Rat-free environment. Boom. Okay, I'm back. Okay, right. So, quick close-up around the sides. I don't see any failures on the structure whatsoever. Oh, there's a little bit of a lift there, but I mean, you can't see into the pie. It's not bad, is it? Maybe that was there before. We've got a bonus piece hanging off the side there. Look, very nice. There's your lid. Can't see any cracks on there either. And again, there's the base. So, looks to me like we've got, from the outside at least, a perfect pie, if such a thing exists. Let's find out if the inside is as good as the outside. That was all pastry. So, we could do the pastry taste. It's not bad. It's a bit bland, is that pastry. Pastry taste rating, I'm going to give it a 6. It's not gooey. It was nice and crunchy. Just didn't have a lot of flavour to it. It was just, didn't have any nasty aftertaste, but it was just a bit, it's just stuff, you know. Oh, it's quite hot. There you go. First look at the inside. I do tend to find that the mince pies hold their heat a lot longer for some reason. Maybe it's because it's more liquidy. I don't know. Better thermal retention, we call that. Yes, mince and cheese pie. This one is from Mackenzie. Yeah, look, from the high country. Pies made well. Not a sponsor to the channel. They can be if they want to be. I've got nothing against Mackenzie pies. I've eaten a lot of Mackenzie pies over the years, especially in the South Island. I'm going to burn my mouth doing this, I know I am. Right, I'll go for another side piece. Okay. There you go, look. Good cross section of pie. You can see the cheese oozing out there, look. So now we could do the runnability test. So 45 degrees. This could be dangerous because it looks very hot. 45 degrees. Let's see if some of the content ooze out. So we're going up. Oh my word, look at that. I do see a little bit of movement. It's very slow, but there's definitely movement going on. I'm going to try and catch it. I don't want to waste any. But imagine you're on the phone, you're flapping around with your pie, and you've lost, you're not really taking note of what's going on. That could be bad. But I think, realistically, that's long enough, isn't it? You're not going to hold it much longer than that at a stupid angle. Not unless you're dumb, to be honest. So it sort of passed that, just. But it wasn't rock solid. So what can we give it? I think, what, an 8? I think an 8. It performed pretty well, actually. Runnability, 8. Did still move. There was still movement, though, wasn't there? That's the thing we've got to bear in mind. Okay, the first bit of mince and cheese has gone down. Pretty tasty. It's right on the limit of being too hot at the moment. It's very tasty, though. It's good. So, taste, flavor, contents. Wasn't bad. I've got to score it as a mince pie. I can't keep thinking it should be a steak pie because it's not. It's a mince pie. So, as a mince pie, that was actually really good. And you can see in there, look, we've actually got lots of little bits of mince. It's not just full of gravy. There is mince pieces in there, and there's a lot of them. Okay. Flavor, 1 out of 10, based on a mince and cheese pie. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. I'm going to give it a 9. That was good. As a mince pie, that was good. Okay. Structure, fully partners, too early to tell. Runnability, we've done. Meat quality. Always a bit difficult with mince, to be honest, because you don't get those strands like you do with a steak where you can get a real flavour. We'll have one more and we'll go for that one. That was a nice bit. Okay. So quality of mince, quality of meat as the mince. What are we going to give it? It's pretty good. And we've had no gristly bits yet. If we do get a gristly bit later on, then obviously I'll bring the score down. But I'm going to go with an 8. I thought that was actually all right. Pie to crust ratio. This is a very, very important one. Nobody wants to buy nothing but pastry. At the end of the day, the only reason why the pastry exists is for the contents as a carrier. So, just going to bring that up a little bit. There you go. Look, you can see inside. So we've got, always on pies, the bulk of the pastry is on this area here, on both sides. This is pretty thin on the bottom, but it's structurally still sound. We've got no nasty cracks and stuff. So that bottom pastry is doing a fantastic job. It's super thin, but it hasn't failed. The lid, we've got a little bit of flaky pastry on top. You can see there. Look, it's quite tasty, quite crunchy. And the seals around the side where the lid is bonded to the main case of the pie hasn't failed either. So, contents, pretty good. I don't really see any major sort of voids in there. The lid, the top does sag down quite a bit. They could have got more contents in there if they'd really tried. Oh, first burp. Remember that. Second burp. Remember that one. Okay. So we're going to give it, I reckon it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a 7. I think it's 7. So pie to crust ratio is 7. Now, availability logistics, I don't need to look it up. You can get these at pretty much, well, an awful lot of corner shops, dairies, we call them here in New Zealand. You can usually buy them at supermarkets, therefore you can buy them online. Mackenzie pies are readily available. They do a fantastic job with their logistics getting around the country, that's for sure. Did you see what I did there? I was a bit into it. I then turned the pie vertical to make sure none of the contents fell out. That's good pie management. It's a good trick to learn, that one. You know, the longer you keep your pie like that, if you just eat your pie in the horizontal position, you risk a lot more falling out. If you hold it like that, then it all sits down into the pie. It's good. It's good technique. So, availability logistics, pretty damn good. I'm going to give it an 8. They're pretty much readily available. I'm going to give it an 8. Okay, packaging design. I'm just going to skip through the still tasty when cold because, oh, pastry taste rating. Hang on. Have we done that? I think we did, yes. So still tasty when cold. Can't do that one, it's not cold. Packaging design, right. So, standard Mackenzie bag. You can't see what you're buying. There's no window. But there's a bit of work gone in, and it sort of looks traditional, which is what we're aiming for. And they colour code their pies. So the orange one obviously is mince and cheese, and if you get a blue one, it's something else, or a red one, something else. So very, very easily recognisable in the shop. You don't have to read, you just look for the colour. Which, I don't know, is it a benefit? I suppose it is, you know, less likely to get the wrong pie. There's nothing worse than getting the wrong pie. What am I going to give that? Packaging design. Well, I don't know if you can see or not, but there are actually little tiny perforations in the paper, so that when you warm the pie up in its bag, which is what it says to do on the packaging, which I never do because I prefer it out of the packaging. If you warm it up in the packaging, then it helps to get some of the moisture and releases that out, so you don't get a soggy pie. So, that said, quite a bit of thought gone into the packaging. In which case, and it's also plastic lined is the paper as well, so that helps to preserve the pie, I suppose. Packaging design, I'm going to give it, because of I was going to give it a 7, because of the holes, I'm going to give it an 8. Okay, recyclable score, we can do that one now. So, because the paper has got a plastic lining, it's not recyclable. So, as a result, if I can show you on here, they say dispose of thoughtfully, which means it's not recyclable at all. But they do say put it in the bin, so we'll give them 1 for that. You know, don't throw it out the car window, do find a bin. Not that many people bother to read that, but you know. Pie server attractiveness. Now, this came from the local store, not this village, but the village down. And it really depends who served Mrs. Mechanic. I would probably go for a 5. We're going to go for a 5 on that one. Okay. So, what have we got left? We've got structure Foley partners. Too early to tell. Let's keep going. Oh, that was close. Nearly lost a bit. Where are we going? Where are we going? I want to try food from all over the world. And so you should. So you should, matey. So I've forgotten your name. Let's go back. Where is he? Briscoe. There we are. Look, Briscoe wants to try food from all over the world. Dwayne Duffy. Hi, mate. You're a bloody champion. Thank you, Dwayne. I'm doing this for you guys. Well, and of course, making videos on fixing stuff as well. Simon. Looks like a good amount of cheese in that pie. There is, and it's actually really tasty as well. So there you go, another update. It's not, I tell you what, it's not a bad pie at all. It really isn't. It should score pretty high. Still super tasty. Dwayne, I'm loving watching your show. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Dwayne. Appreciate that. Mike Adams, unless they're made and I'm just not aware of them, I think a typical cheeseburger pie would be good. The crust would hold the mustard and ketchup inside of your inside of your lap whilst driving, so it'll stop it from falling out onto your lap whilst you're driving. Very good point, Mike. You might be onto something there. That could be the new trend food for the globe. Could be. You've got to be on your game with a mince pie because it's a lot more fluid. The stuff, it oozes around a lot more than a steak pie. Still pretty hot. It hasn't really lost much temperature at all. Maybe 3 or 4 degrees. It's doing well. Simon, Mike Adams, Coupling's Bakery in the UK did a cheeseburger pie for a while. Really? That's fantastic. Mike Adams, Simon, I don't think any of the pies he shows on here are sold here in the States, but I'd like to try some. How good are the CB pies? CB pies? CB pies. What the hell's a CB pie? I just think of CB radio. Let's have a look. CB pie. CB pie. Never heard of those. Oh, CB pie. Like a Toll House cookery pie. Like a Toll House cookie pie. What? Oh, CB. Cheeseburger. Sorry, I'm a bit slow this morning. How good are the cheeseburger pies? So, Simon, you're going to have to tell us because I've never heard of one before. You see, you've got these little oozes coming out on the corners, on the edges. You be very careful of that. Oh, it has now cooled down a bit. That wasn't over hot. Good pie management. Now, Rock Shandy, good name. Nice and steamy pie. I do miss New Zealand pies. They seem to be getting more and more popular these days. A very traditional thing for New Zealand is a pie, but they seem to be absolutely everywhere. And there's so many different brands now. It's incredible. John Dwyer, I'm not having pie. I'm having bacon and eggs for tea. Nice. You can't beat bacon and eggs. I do like bacon and eggs, especially in a sandwich. Nick Young, 1961. Good morning, everyone, from a sunny but crisp winter's Queensland morning in Australia. Pie looks nice, but I'd like to see returns of all the low-scoring pies this year. Hint, hint, lol. But if they scored low, it means that I don't really like them. So I'm not very inclined to go and buy another one, to be honest. But have they made them any better? Probably not. They probably haven't even seen my live stream, to be honest. Probably unaware of the dedication that I put into scoring their pie for them. Simon, Mike Adams, the cheeseburger pie were a bit greasy and repeated on you. It's bad. You don't want that. You don't want the heartburn stuff. You can soon drink through the Gaviscon. Oh, a large bottle of Gaviscon now, not sure if it's available in the UK or not, but a large bottle of Gaviscon in New Zealand, $30. $30. It's just ridiculous. It's more expensive than petrol, which is incredible. Rock Shandy. Where's the laser temperature gun? Perfect use. Very good point. I actually got an email yesterday from a Chinese company who wanted to send me one of those. They said it'd be a perfect addition to your channel. So that's fine. Not a problem at all. I'll be quite happy for them to send me one. So I'll send them an email and tell them that. Okay. So Still tasty when cold. I don't think it'd be too bad. I mean, a mince pie cold, I really can't imagine it ever being better than a steak pie cold. But this one, plenty of cheese in there. It's going to give you some nice flavour. I didn't see any floating grease at all in this pie. It was actually really good. This is a pie that I definitely would eat cold if I found it in the glove box. Obviously it doesn't want to be too many days old, but it would definitely provide sustenance should there be an emergency, i.e. you've not passed a petrol station in the last couple of hours. So, still tasty when cold. I'm going to give it a 7, and that's a pretty good score for that. And that's partly down to the cheese content, the lack of grease, which is a very important thing when you're eating stuff cold, but also the meat quality. Actually tasted really, really good. Structure Foley Partners. It survived. I mean, sure, we had a few oozes here and there, but through good pie management, I managed to sort of, circumnavigate those and prevent any kind of spillage on the bench. So I don't think it was too bad. We didn't see any big failures on the structure and stuff. I think it performed extremely well from a structural perspective, especially given how thin the base was. Quite incredible how thin that base is, look. It's only what, about 4 millimeters of pastry? So it's pretty good strength there, to be honest. So I think it should get Structure Foley Partners 9. I'm going to give it a 9. Did really well. Okay, post pie heartburn factor. I'm not feeling anything, but we had a couple of burps, so it's down to 8 for that. That may well change if there's more burps. Okay, one more to go. Stuffability score. Do I feel stuffed? Do I want anything else to eat? I'm pretty full. I don't want anything else to eat. That pie did the trick. I've had nothing else to eat this morning. That was my first meal of the day. And it did the trick. Very happy. Stuffability score. I'm not overstuffed. I mean, I don't want to be, like you'd after Christmas lunch, where you just got to sit down and watch the James Bond movie that's been on for the last 10 years, where you just sit there, comatose, just staring at the telly and drinking cider, or whatever you choose to drink, your preferred beverage. But you don't want to move because you're so full. That would be a 10. I'm, quite happy around about, I think an 8. I think an 8's pretty good. I think it's fine. I think it's done what it needs to do. Okay, we have some scores to add up. Are you going to help me? Because my maths isn't great. We've seen that recently. Here we go. Boom. Okay, Mrs. Mechanic's going to be chomping at the bit now because I'm probably running over time. What are we on? Hour and 27 minutes. So we're getting close to have to call it a day, but I want to get this score in. Ooh, right, burp. Okay, there was another burp, so we're going to knock that down. That's now at 7. Burpy burp. Okay, here we go. 18, 26, 34, 41, 49, 55, 62, 70, 71, 78, 86, 91. 91 is the score. Not a bad score, in all honesty. Okay, if I'm wrong, let me know. We've got 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 1, 7, 8, 5. Total score 91, according to my arithmetic. Okay, so the pie in question is a Mackenzie. Oh, pen's dying. Mackenzie, and it's a mince and cheese. And I would probably say, I'll stick my neck out, that's probably the best mince and cheese pie I've ever had, to be honest. And that's saying something. Right, 91 is the score. There we go. Very tasty. I'm going to give it a very tasty heading. So what were the failings? What could Mackenzie do to get more of a higher score? Well, they could make their packaging recyclable. I'm very surprised that they haven't, because a lot of New Zealand companies now are getting right onto this recycling thing, and they haven't done that. So if they were to make this fully recyclable and tell us it's recyclable, then they're going to gain another 9 points. That's going to give them 100. That's a massive difference. Everything else was a pretty high score. I mean, Mackenzie kind of, well, I suppose they could put out a bulletin amongst all their outlets to employ, you know, better looking tellers, you know, the till or whatever. But they got a 5 for that. That's not really down to the pie manufacturer. That's just the outlet. So that would vary depending on where you buy the pie from. Where else did they score low? Well, they didn't really. They got 6 pastry taste, so they could make the pastry a little bit more tastier. Maybe a couple of herbs in the pastry would sort of bring up the flavouring a bit. I'm not a cook. I just eat the pies. Who knows? Right, let's go and find out where this Mackenzie mince and cheese ends up on the leaderboard. Here we go. Try and keep it in focus, Andy. Dum 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 dum. Pretty good. Oh! Nearly made it there. Right, we'll stick that up on there for now. Now, 91. Oh, God. I'm going to have to move all these up. I've got heaps to move. Sorry, Eric. Could bring your sticker up again. This could take a while, people. 91's quite a long way down. We're getting a bit full. I'm going to have another sort out. The Torah steak and cheese. That was a good pie. Lake Farm. I need to order some more of their pies for the freezer. They were brilliant. You can order, I think it's 6 or 12 pies or something. Can't remember now, but you order loads. You've got to, I think maybe it's 8. Maybe it's 8 pies, actually. You've got to order 8 pies at a time, and they come in like a little a freezer bag thing with some ice packs and stuff in it. But they are super well made. Oh, we're nearly there. Bear with me, people. Irvin's steak and cheese, 93. Oh, that'll do. There we are, look. Not bad. Not bad at all for a mince and cheese. Is that the highest mince and cheese? Steak and cheese, beef, bacon and cheese. Meatball and bacon, what the hell? Steak and cheese, steak pie, very tasty. Steak and cheese, pepper steak and cheese, classic steak and cheese. Yes, I was right. So the Mackenzie mince and cheese at 91 is the highest scoring mince and cheese pie we have ever done. Bloody good. It's done. I think for a mince and cheese pie, it's you know, it's batting way above its weight, isn't it? It's done bloody well to do that. It's beaten all these proper steak here. Look, you see, well, it's equal to that one. Steak there. Look, you see, steak. Dad's pie, steak. Oh, Angus steak. That should have done really well, but it didn't for whatever reason. Steak. Oh, yeah. See the next one down. Ronnie's Bakery mince and cheese. Tool Girl Holly's favourite mince and cheese. 87. So now, good job there, Mackenzie. I think you should be very proud of that. Well done. Right, back to the bench and back to your comments. Let's get rid of this. Don't need that anymore. Boom. Turn you round. And sort the camera out. We're all over the place, aren't we? There we go. Terrible camera work, Andy. Terrible. There we go. That's better. Right. Got to be quick now. So, yes, well done, Mackenzie. I think that was definitely well worth choosing. And it did the job. It did exactly what a pie is supposed to do. Happy with that. Right, anything on there? No, nothing on there. Perfect. Time for a quick cigarette. And then we'll have to sign off. Where do we get to? Oh, don't need that. Need this. Hang on, bear with me, people. I've got to scroll back because you've all been typing away, tappy tap tap, while I've been busy. Yes, I think a laser temperature gun could be a really good idea, actually, because they all get about the same period of time in the pie warmer, and they all come out, well, 99% of the time they come out of the fridge where they've been overnight. So they start off at the same temperature. Roger Heaps, have to go feed mobile bacon factories soon. Save one for me, Roger. Simon, just looked. I'm only 5.2 miles away from a Thomas the Baker's in the morning. Then, Simon, you have absolutely no excuse in going to said Thomas the Baker's. Send me a photo of what you buy. Nice. I used to like the sausage rolls. They used to do like a crispy square thing, which was half chocolate and half just like gooey. I remember taking the kids to a dentist in Malton years ago. They were all little, and we were a bit early, so I took them to the baker's, and I got them all these gooey, chocolatey, crispy things, and they loved them. So they were munching them away, you know, woofed them down, and then it was time to head off to the dentist's. And they went into the dentist, and there's all these bits of crispy, gooey stuff stuck to their teeth. And the dentist was, when he finished checking their teeth and giving them a bit of a clean and stuff, he came out and he said, "Would you please, Mr. Young, next time you bring your children, not take them to the bakery before they come here?" Sorry, mate. He was pretty grumpy, actually. He wasn't happy at all. He wasn't a happy chappy. We obviously didn't present our children's mouths in the correct cleanliness prior to inspection. But, you know, charged me a fortune for it. So, I mean, you know, just get on with it, mate. Anyway, Mike Adams, Simon Roll, maybe if a leaner cut of meat was used, it might be better. A thought just hit me. Deer burger pie, lean meat, but very tasty. You see, this is why we have this talk on a Sunday morning, because it's all about brainstorming and coming up with wonderful solutions for the world. That could be it. Deer burger pie. So basically a venison burger. Very nice. Simon, Mike Adams, there is definitely a gap in the market for a cheeseburger pie. Do it. I would endorse it. Obviously you'd have to send me a few to test, but you know, I need to be involved in the creation of these pies. But yeah, endorsed by Andy Mechanic, man, you'd sell millions of them. Man, we talk some shit sometimes, don't we? Simon, yes, done that one. Connor K, click the like. Thank you, Connor. I hate to say it, it's not my job. It's you guys. If you want to click the like, do it. If you want to click the dislike, do it. The sheer fact that you're here is all that matters to me. We've got 35 viewers, 19 thumbs up. So maybe a few more thumbs up would be good. Go for it. Nick Young, 1961. I have missed it. Why is recyclable score on paper bag so low? I'll tell you, you missed it because, see if I can open it up. Because the paper bag is actually a plastic bag with paper on the outside. It's not paper. They've obviously done that, you know, to try and preserve the pie and stuff. You might, I don't think it's going to kill the white balance. I don't think you can see the little tiny perforations. They have put little tiny perforations all over that paper to try and allow the pie to breathe whilst it's being cooked. But that's a very strange cut for a pie bag. Look at that. It's got a step in it. Isn't that weird? Why would it do that? You'd expect it just to be a square cut. I think it must have been on the siders when they cut that one. Anyway. So that's why it's really low. It's not recyclable. It's just rubbish. And they tell you it's rubbish on the back. There, look. Put it in the bin is what they say. Don't recycle it, which is, I don't need to add any more to that. It's pretty obvious. Greedy Fugu. Dan the Meme Man has escaped. How? Who's the Dan the Meme Man? Dan the Meme Man. I'll check that one out. I've never heard of Dan the Meme Man. Right, Rock Shandy. It's a plastic lined neck. There you go. Thank you, Rock Shandy. Decker Sweet. Came here looking for a lathe restoration update. Now I've just munched a Ginter's chilled chicken and mushroom pie. It's not lack of willpower. It's Andy's powers of suggestion. There you go. It's entirely my fault that you troughed a pie. I apologise. Not. Jim Haynes, I am here today as we had a race last night in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Dixieland Speedway. So I'm fairly tired as it was 4 a.m. Mate, you'll be knackered. But thank you, Jim, for joining in. And you'll be pleased to know that I've been using those ratchets that you sent me quite a bit recently. And even Ben used the, we were doing some work on his ute. Oh, yes, we did some work on his ute. I haven't even covered that yet. So last week, or this week just gone, this being Sunday, Ben came down on Monday night, and on Tuesday, he wanted me to replace the seal, the axle seal on the left rear wheel bearing. So basically it's a solid axle, banjo axle we call it, differential in the middle, runs an EP90, and of course the EP90 migrates down the axle. It sort of lubes the wheel bearing, but sort of not, because there's a seal between it. And then there was a second seal on the outside of the wheel bearing. So it actually had two seals. I didn't keep them for you. They're in the bin, in a different bag, so I can't go and find them. And replacing the seal that sits in the axle, dead easy, 5-minute job. You know, well, say 5 minutes once you've got the brake drum and stuff off and the backing plate and things. Dead easy, and pull the half shaft out. Dead easy, no sweat. The outer seal, it's actually in the casting that mounts the outer race of the wheel bearing. It's a taper roller bearing on its utes. It's a Ford Courier. Is it a Courier? I don't know. Yeah, an old Courier, Ford Courier thing, back from early 90s. So you've got it's a taper roller bearing. So you undo the left-hand thread nut, I think it is, and then there's a little lock washer thing, and then you can, and then the inner race is pretty much pressed on the shaft. So I had to make up a puller using my hydraulic puller, some chain, and a big plate that I made that Ben's taken with him in case he has to do it again. And we managed to get it pulled, but the bearing pulled off, and then get the carrier pulled out of the way that's got the outer race in it. The outer race practically fell out. It wasn't very tight in there at all, which it was tight enough, but I was expecting it to be tighter. And then you can get to the seal and replace the seal. So that took me, it probably took me a good 4 hours all up to do that job, including refitting it all, putting new brake shoes in the vehicle, and then bleeding the brakes up. But the good news is no further problems. He's had an ongoing problem for years of the left rear brake shoes getting a bit contaminated and being a bit down on efficiency. So he's failed the inspection, the warrant of fitness. And we thought it might be a leaking wheel cylinder because there wasn't any oil in there at all. So we replaced the wheel cylinder a couple of years ago, and the problems continued. So we thought, right, it must be the outer wheel bearing seal. So we've cleaned it all up, put new seals in, and I don't think he's been for a warrant just yet, but it's going to happen in the next couple of days. But hopefully we'll fix that problem for years to come now. But it was a much bigger job than I thought it was going to be honest. I think the main issue is because I've cut my press down, so the bottom half of the press is now missing. I didn't have enough reach on the press to do it all in the press. I had to do it in a vise and use a puller. But the puller worked brilliantly. I was very impressed in my work. I didn't take a photo. I should have taken a photo. My apologies. Nick Young, 1961. Wow, that's very strange having a paper bag lined with plastic. It is. And we found out the hard way. I'm pretty sure I warmed one of these pies up in the bag or on the bag. Might have been this one. And we ended up with plastic stuck to the pie. It's bad, really bad. I had to eat it. Roger Heaps, do you want a whole pig? I don't know if Mrs. Mechanic would know what to do with a complete pig. She really wouldn't want to cut the head off and stuff. I don't know. You better liaise with Mrs. Mechanic over that one. But I will definitely say yes to some your premium bacon there. And I'll be down to sample some, Roger, don't you worry. So, I think we've reached the end of the live stream. 1 hour and 44 minutes coming up. That's 14 minutes beyond what I planned. Well, actually, I planned to do maybe an hour live stream today, but hey, you know, I'm amongst good friends. You just keep talking, don't you? That's what it's all about. But really, really appreciate you joining me on this, another one of our live streams. We must have done about 100 by now. It's just, yeah, probably I've got pie in my beard. Hang on. There we go. That's better. Yeah, we must have done about, I haven't counted them. We can't be far off 100 live streams now, which is pretty impressive, getting up so early in the morning on a Sunday. Dedication, chaps. Dedication is what it is. Okay, crew. I'm getting lots of big thumbs up and a big smiley face. Thank you, Scott. Thank you all for your support for the channel. Just being here is enough support for me. If you want to throw us some money this way, you can do that through PayPal or through Patreon. Your call. Butchered. Yeah, butchered sounds good. And the links for those are on the main page for the channel. They're in the banner on the right-hand side, so you can just click on those and do what you want to do. But thank you all for your input and your comments today. It's been great fun engaging with you as always. And I'll be here next Sunday to give you another update and hopefully do another pie review, 8:30 a.m. All right, crew. Thank you again, Jim and Jade. Thank you, Jade. And keep in touch. And hopefully we'll see you all around sometime next Sunday. And maybe there might be a video out one day. I haven't put a video out for ages. My apologies. Okay, crew. Cheers for now. Over and out.